Hello, I am going to go over a step here in the Excel grader. I had Excel 4 grader, had a lot of students who were having problems with the vertical lookup. So what I'm going to do is go through the steps with you of how to create or use the vertical lookup function. In step number 8 in the grader, it says on the staff planning worksheet in cell B9, create a vertical lookup function that will look up description from the job information sheet using the job code, and then wants me to use absolute cell reference. So the first step is I'm going to go to cell B9, and inside of B9 I'm going to create the vertical lookup function. So on the formula tab underneath the lookup and reference, I'm just going to click that here, go down to VLookUP. When the function argument box come up for the VLOOKUP, we're looking for three major things. The first thing we're looking for is the lookup value, which is the first item in your table that you're going to use to look up the remaining data. So it wants me to use whatever value that's inside of A9. So I can either enter A9 into the cell, or I can click on A9 and it enters that cell inside of the argument box. So A9 will be the cell that I'm going to look up to get the data from. My table array, I'm just going to click here. My table array is what table do I want to use? Well, in the instruction, it asks me to use the table from the job information sheet. So I'm going to click on the job information sheet, and I'm going to highlight A4 through C11. That is the table that I'm going to use to look up my data. Now, because it asks me to use absolute cell reference, the reason you want to use this is because the next step is going to ask me to drag this function down to the cells below. And whenever you drag copy formulas, you want it to copy and retain certain data. So I'm going to use the absolute cell reference so that'll happen. So in order to use that, what I would have to do is hit F4. Now when I hit F4 on my keyboard, I hit F4, and what it does is put the dollar signs in front of my cell and row. So you'll see the dollar sign inside of the A and the 4, and also inside the C and the 11. Now if you're using a laptop, then of course you know your F4 button may be different. So you would have to probably use your function key. So inside on your laptop, to the left of the spacebar, you should see a little FN button. You would have to use that in combination with your F4 to actually access F4. But I'm simply using the standard keyboard that comes with a desktop. So I was able to just hit the F4 key. Okay? Alternatively, you can go ahead and put your little dollar signs in there. Now, the column index, this is the part of lookup where it says, okay, which column are you going to get this data from? So on my staff and planning sheet, on that, on the job information sheet, in that table, because I'm looking for description was the second column in that table. So I'm going to enter the number 2 for the second column in that table, and then I'm just going to hit OK. So that's how you do the vertical lookup. So if I were to go and click on A9, and I'm just going to choose an item out of this list, and immediately it gives me underneath description the assistant manager. So I'm just going to show you also going back to the job information, so you're able to see this is the table I use. You see description here is my second column in the table, so that's why I use number 2. Now there's another option, another step in the instruction that wants you to repeat this over again, but this time it wants you to use the salary information, which is the third column in the table. So you're going to create another VLOOKUP exactly as you saw me do in this step, except for when you get ready to do the column, you're not going to use column 2, which wanted the description. The next step was the salary, so you would use column 3. I hope this helped.